The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to Season 5 of Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. I'm here to guide you on a journey of personal growth and fulfillment. Join me as we delve into the challenges of both business and personal life, aiming to discover our true selves and connect more deeply with the world around us. On this podcast, we'll explore the topics that inspire and empower us to become the best version of ourselves. From book reviews to interviews with iconic individuals, we'll have insightful conversations that resonate with your journey. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Boys and Girls Club of America, Greater Conejo Valley, and Levy's Deli for supporting the show and helping us bring these valuable discussions to you. Please share, rate, and review the podcast. And thank you so much for listening. You can also leave your comments at Kimberly Levy on social media. Thank you for your feedback and thank you for listening. Hello and welcome back to Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. You guys, today we are videoing and you can see my little get up here on YouTube. And I have to tell you, I'm definitely doing the summer vibes with my little outfit here. For those of you that are wondering what the outfit is, it is Lululemon. So today I'm going to come at you with a quick hitter, and I really want to talk to you guys about how to get a man to respect you. Okay. So many of you have been through a season of dating, still looking for a man, etc. And this came up because somebody I know, and I'm not going to say her name, but somebody I know, okay, she's a mother of two and she's divorced and she's finally back on the dating scene. She's in her 40s. And I have to tell you guys, I'm really surprised at the overall lack of self-confidence that so many women have. And that's something that really bothers me because when I look at some of these women, like my friends or people in my circle, people I meet, I look at them and I see their true value. And in this case, I know this particular woman is a complete hustler. She's a total badass. And she's been through so many crazy things that, obviously I'm not going to disclose, but this is a strong woman. And for some reason, when it comes to a man, all bets are off. And I think as women, because of the way that we're built, which is, we want to be with a partner, we want to build a home. That's kind of our biological DNA. I think it almost puts us in a position where when we're single, we feel like we need a man to be validated and to be whole. And I am here to say that is bogus. So first thing I want to say is before you start looking for a man, you need to be 100% content with yourself, okay? So what do I mean by that? What I mean is financially, emotionally, just all of it. When I met Brian, I was at a place where I had already been in relationships that really hurt me because I'm very much a ride or die kind of chick. And I remember being so obsessed with, these one or two boyfriends, not that it was so many, it was really one or two, that I kept lowering my boundaries and my standards to get them to engage with me. And what I realized was that was a losing strategy. And by the time I met my husband, it was just I need somebody that is going to make me laugh, somebody that's going to add to my life. And if they don't, I don't have energy for them because it is just truly way too much of my time and energy to give over and over and over only to be stomped on and hurt and feel violated, etc. And when I'm seeing some of my friends out there that are going back into the dating scene, I see them doing that. They're lowering their boundaries. And what they're thinking is, well, if I lower my boundaries and expectations even more, the man will then come to the table because I'm making it as easy as possible on them. Wrong approach. And here's why. A man does not respect you when you lower your boundaries. Whether they consciously are aware of it or not, what I realized is when you raise your expectations and your boundaries and your self-image and self-worth, a man sees that and they sense it. And what that is that they look at you as much more powerful and they sense and they know that you do not need them. There's a very big difference between between needing a man and wanting a man. Okay. So what I'm telling you is if you're in a place where you need a man to take care of your finances or to take care of your kids or to take care of your emotions and make you feel whole, you are not ready to date. And I'm very sorry to be the one to tell you that, but it is the truth. And if you feel like, no, I'm ready, like I fill myself up, I'm in a place where I am working really, really hard on myself and I'm on a path that I'm super proud of and I'm just ready to have that additional piece in my life, that extra dose of happiness, then you're ready. Now, the thing that I keep seeing her do is in doing and saying nothing and accepting the status quo, that means you are accepting the way you're being treated. So in this situation, this guy has a roommate and it makes my friend uncomfortable. And I'm not going to get into their details, but I'm just giving this as an example so that we can all get behind it. So it makes her uncomfortable that there's this pretty girl that has feelings for her boyfriend and they kind of had a thing in the past. And so my friend is trying to figure out how to navigate this because she really cares for this guy. And I'm like, look, if there is a situation where your boyfriend has a roommate and the roommate is cool or the roommate's kind of neutral and not in the picture, and it's a pretty girl that's like, buttoned up, but she's pretty, but she's kind and she's fun and she's part of your friend group, that's one thing. If it is a situation where the girl literally wants your man and is traipsing around in a thong and basically trying to still get your boyfriend's attention, it is a absolute no-brainer for you to say, look, time out. I care a lot about our relationship and I am all in on this, but I cannot have this third person distracting our relationship. And I want you to show me that you're really all in on this because I am. And with that, I need to feel 100% comfortable. When I'm at your house or when I'm not, I need to feel comfortable. And I don't want to have this feeling of like a girl's going after you, kind of thing. Honestly, being put in a position where you even have to have this conversation to me is a huge red flag, because instinctively your man should already be trying to protect your relationship and put it first without you having to ask. And so I already, listening to this, don't feel comfortable because I'm seeing that there's a guy that needs to be told things that should be instinctive and intuitive. Some things for men should be second nature and instinctive and intuitive. Other things they need to be told. And I feel like I've really figured that out in my relationship. And Brian and I have a wonderful relationship in that sense where he's like, I'm very literal. I want you to tell me everything. And I do, and it works well. But there's certain things I don't need to tell him. For example, I don't need to tell him, hey, stop looking at other girls when we're sitting at dinner. I've never once felt like I needed to ask him to do that. Another example is like, I never had to ask him to put me as the priority or my kids above anything. I've never had that. I've never had to ask him not to like girls' pictures on Instagram or social media. It goes on and on. Like he just authentically doesn't see another girl, when I'm in the room or when I'm not. Like at the end of the day, he respects me so much. And I really believe it's because I've set a boundary from the beginning of like, I want you in my life. I don't need you in my life. And that goes for everything across the board. And he knows that. And he is attracted to that because it's a sense of independence. It's not the sense of neediness. And so in this situation with the roommate, it's like, to me, it's like, look, our relationship is on pause until I feel 100% secure. And I do not feel 100% secure with this girl in the picture. I just don't. I realize that the roommate situation is income for you, and that's not easy to kind of change. But you just told me that I'm your priority and you're all in on our relationship. And I have a lot going on in my life. I mean, I am hustling. This girl is putting herself through school. Has 2 kids that are in formative years that are, in their teens. And she doesn't have time to be draining her energy. Oh, on top of that, she's also working. So this girl is in a period that is formative for her. She's setting herself up for her future. And she's working like a dog. And she does not have the bandwidth to be worrying about if her boyfriend's, with some other girl. It's not the season for her. Like, we're not in our 20s and we're not in middle school. And so what I said was, you need to set the boundary and the expectation up front and don't invest any more time. And the feeling of setting a boundary is scary because you're afraid you're going to lose that person. But here's the thing. If a guy is not going to support and respect your boundaries, he's not the right guy. Okay? He just isn't. That's not a life partner. That is not somebody that you want to stay in a relationship with, because at the end of the day, they're not fully committed to you and you can't teach that. The loyalty thing and the respect thing is the underpinning of every single relationship. And if you have to fight for loyalty and respect, that's wrong. Now, if this is somebody that is not used to being in a relationship that you believe really cares about you and just needs guidance, then you give them a chance, okay? And this is you being very guarded about it, but also really putting your best foot forward to teach them how to treat you, okay? We teach people how to treat us, period. So in saying nothing, what you are doing is you are teaching that person through your actions that everything is okay the way it is, okay? That is the signal you are sending, whether you intend to send that message or not. However, if you really want to get down to it, you need to teach that person that this is a boundary I have that I will not waver. I have enough self-respect that I am not going to continue on in this relationship as it is. So it is your choice. And in doing this, you need to do it in a way that's respectful to your partner, but you also need to be really firm. And you need to be able to take that risk that that person is not ready for you. And again, if that is the case, you need to be able to walk, because if this is somebody that truly is not committed to you, you would rather find out immediately rather than later. Now, here's what ended up happening, at least the latest that I got, okay? This friend set the boundary and she was like kind of holding her breath. She was very nervous about it. It was very uncomfortable for her. And you know what happened? He rose to the occasion. And time will tell to see if he actually gets rid of this roommate that makes her uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I just want to acknowledge it takes a lot of guts to set boundaries when you're not used to doing that. And it takes a lot of self-confidence, which is why I really want to encourage you. And by the way, this can be whether you're in the dating scene or maybe even in your current relationship, setting expectations and boundaries in a productive way that is not downbeating your partner is such a hard thing to do, because it's a skill that is not taught. Nobody sat down and explained to us how to communicate with partners. This is why people go to therapy, to learn how to communicate, right? And by the way, that might be the next best step for you and your partner. But I'm just telling you from my experience is like, as women, we have to be able to set these expectations for our partners. And this actually transcends across every part of your life. Now, in this case, we're really talking about dating specifically, but setting boundaries, it can be with friends, it can be in business, it can be with just really anybody out there that you deal with. Setting boundaries and expectations is so foreign and uncomfortable. And I think the reason why it is because as women, we tend to keep our mouth shut as long as possible. And then when we finally can't take it anymore, we say what we have to say and it comes out in not such a nice way. And then we're labeled bitch, we're labeled all these terrible things, when in reality, we should have just simply set expectations that are clear up front. And we don't do that because we haven't been taught that. We've been taught as women to keep our mouth shut and to be givers, and that you need a man to complete you and all of these things, when the reality is the woman is the underpinning of the family unit. So believe it or not, the men want to be led by you in this way. And maybe if you're more of like on the traditional side of relationships, I don't mean to say that you should be the man of the relationship, but what I'm saying is a man wants a woman or a man will respect a woman that has self-respect. And that is what I mean by being a leader, by setting the expectations in your home firmly and directly, but also not in a way that is emasculating. So there's different ways that you can approach somebody, and just you let them know, you speak in terms of like you and him in the relationship together, right? As opposed to me versus you. It's, hey, I really want this relationship to work, and I believe you do too. And in order for me to get totally comfortable, I just need to feel like there's not this third person like floating around. It just makes me really uncomfortable. So it requires that you tap into yourself, your feelings in a feminine, honest way, but also let them know, like, it's hard for me to continue this way. It makes me feel insecure. It makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't make me feel respected. And no matter what the answer is from them, like at the end of the day, you need to be able to, just like with a child, you need to be able to follow through on what you're talking about with them, or else what? They don't respect you. So if you have the conversation and then they don't make the change and you don't make any change, they will not respect you. So in this case, it's, withholding sex, withholding seeing them or going to their house, and just really putting a complete timeout on the relationship until you feel 100% respected. And honestly, these are the types of boundaries that should be set before you are intimate with somebody. Because why? As women, once you're intimate with somebody, everything changes. Our emotions completely change. There's biological reasons for that. And it's much harder for us at that point once you've given yourself away. That's why I always say you should really be giving it a lot of time when you're dating somebody before you're intimate with them, because for women, once you cross that line, it's almost like there's no going back emotionally. And I just think it's important that you get the emotional support and make sure your boundaries are all being fully respected before you take that next step with somebody, because then you get into this having to back up and slow down the relationship and it gets much more complicated. So yeah, I just think that women need to understand that the more you respect yourself, the more the man will respect you. And if a man sees you respecting yourself and then decides to leave, that is not a man that you want to continue on with. I think when a man is a smooth talker and says all the right things and then does not do the right things, does not have the balls to follow through, that shows me that that is not a man that is fully capable of loving you the way you deserve, for whatever their reasons are. Maybe they just have their own baggage. Maybe they don't truly want to prioritize you because maybe they're not truly in a place where they can give you that because of, again, their own deficiencies. Whatever it is, it's really not for you to figure out the why. The point is, if you want to be in a loving, happy, loving marriage, I will tell you, looking at all of my friends that are spoiled by their husbands with love, with just basically given the life that they want, it's because they have a lot of self-respect. It's because they have really high expectations of their spouse and they have unwavering boundaries, and the men love it. They think it is hot and sexy when their wife plays hard to get, or their wife is not like fawning over them all the time. Like, they know that they have to work a little harder. And remember, the men are the hunters, okay? Men love to feel like they are getting the prize. And remember, you are the prize. You are the prize. And I've told this story a long time ago on the podcast, but there's a story and this belief that men are the hunters and women are the gatherers, and men want to feel like they got the best catch. So for you to be elusive, like there's a story of a man that's hunting and he's trying to hunt a deer and he pulls back his arrow and he misses and he's like, oh, gotta try again. Like, look at that deer. I'm going to get her. And he pulls back the arrow and goes again. By the way, I don't love this because I don't really believe in hunting. But anyway, the idea is that it's this idea of them trying harder and harder to get the one that almost got away. And the more elusive you are and the harder you are to get, then when they finally pull back that arrow and earn you, and it's like to them, you're the prize, like you're the one that almost got away. And that is who we need to remember we are. We are queens. We are the prize. And think of all you give to your man and to your family. That is the reason why we're the prize. It's because of all that we give. We give back and pour back into our families in so many immeasurable ways that, to me, having respect and loyalty are the bare minimum. This is the bare minimum for a relationship. I didn't even get into any other details about relationships. I am speaking about bare minimum just to continue dating somebody, let alone getting into a serious relationship. So what I want to just remind you guys of is I want to remind you of your value and your worth. And if a man makes you feel like you don't have that high value and worth, then it is not the right one. And I'm telling you now, the higher your expectations are of that person and the more serious you are and firm you are on what your boundaries and expectations are, the more they will rise. And if they do not rise, it is not the right person. So I hope this was helpful. I wanted to just hit you guys with something fun and quick and easy. And I hope that this is helpful. And if there's somebody you know that can benefit from this discussion, please send them the episode and let me know what you guys think of the video, because this is a little bit new venture. With that, thank you for listening. Please rate and review the podcast, give it 5 stars, and DM me if you have any comments or questions. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. That is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.